Hello, everybody, and today again we are going to speak about pronunciation matters. We'll go on describing consonants. We are going to speak about their manner of articulation, and especially we are going to focus on sonorants. This refers to sounds that give a resonant sort of impression, like vowel sounds, with a complete absence of audible friction or plosion. Sonorants include nasals and approximants. That means laterals and central approximants. Nasal consonants have a stricture of complete closure in the oral cavity, but the soft palate is lowered, allowing the airstream to escape through the nose. In English and in most languages, nasal consonants are normally voiced, and these consonants can also take syllabic value. There are three nasal consonants: bilabial, alveolar, and velar nasal. They are all voiced. That is, they are produced with a vibration of the vocal folds. The bilabial and alveolar nasals occur in all contexts, but velar nasal occurs only syllable finally. For all three nasals, the place of manner of articulation is similar to that of the corresponding stops: bilabial, alveolar, and velar. However, the soft palate is lowered, thus adding the resonance of the nasal cavity. Approximants are produced with the articulators sufficiently apart for there to be no audible friction. Approximants can be of two types, either central approximants or lateral. For the production of the lateral approximant, the tip and blade of the tongue form a central closure with the alveolar ridge, while the sides of the tongue remain lowered. The airstream escapes over the lowered sides. Clear lateral occurs before vowels and before the palatal approximant. The tongue shape is slightly palatalized with a convex upper surface, giving a close front vowel E-type resonance. Dark lateral occurs before consonants and pause. The articulation is slightly velarized with a concave upper surface, giving a back central vowel U-type like resonance. Dark lateral is often a syllable bearer when it will be longer of duration. In the production of the postalveolar approximant, the sides of the tongue are raised and the tongue tip may move towards the rear of the alveolar ridge in a stricture of open approximation. Although the approximant is classed as a postalveolar, this tongue side raisings is probably more important than the tongue tip movement. When this sound is used after the alveolar plosives, what we perceive is a kind of affricate in which the second element, that is the postalveolar, becomes fricative. And even though elocutionists define the alveolar tap as correct speech when it is used in intervocalic position, This is an instance of pronunciation which is not fashionable anymore. The palatal approximant is also considered a semivowel because it is a rapid vocalic glide onto a syllabic sound of greater steady duration. This sound starts in a position of approximately long E with spread or neutral lips and moves in the direction of the following vowel. So, the vocalic allophones of the palatal approximant are articulated by the tongue assuming the position for a close mid to close vowel front, depending on the degree of openness of the following sound, and moving away immediately to the position of the following sound. The lips are generally neutral or spread, but anticipate the lip rounding of the following vowel in cases such as you, yon, etc. The labial velar approximant is also considered a semivowel because it is a rapid vocalic glide onto a syllabic sound of greater steady duration which starts with rounded lips at a position similar to that of the production of long U. The vocalic allophones of the labial velar approximant are articulated by the tongue assuming the position for a back close mid to close vowel, depending upon the degree of openness of the following sound, and moving away immediately to the position of the following sound. The lips are rounded more closely when followed by back sounds. This is an example of a double articulation because there is another stricture at the velar. The approximation of the articulators at the bilabial and velar places of articulation constitute two strictures of equal rank. The soft palate is raised and the vocal folds vibrate. As regards this sound and rendering homage to Marie-Isabelle Recamam, I'm going to define it as a glottal approximant because Marisa asserted that the friction we perceive was not produced in the mouth cavity, hence it was not a fricative. Nevertheless, since I've seen this sound defined as a voiceless glottal fricative in phonetics dictionaries and in phonetics books, I consulted Professor Wells, who was very kind to answer me, and I'm going to read what he wrote to me. He says that he's not alone in classifying the glottal as a fricative. That is how it is categorized on the IPA chart. That is how Crattenden, Roach, Collins, Ashby, and Maidment, and other respected writers on English phonetics categorize it. Secondly, however, it is clear that the glottal is different from the other English voiceless fricatives in that it does not involve a constriction within the mouth cavity. He agrees with Marie-Isabelle here. Conventionally, we classify it as a glottal fricative, but the constriction giving rise to the turbulence that we hear as a friction may be not so much located at the glottis itself as distributed throughout the whole of the upper vocal tract. One problem with classifying the glottal as an approximant is that voiceless approximants are by definition inaudible, or by one definition at least, approximants used to be known as frictionless continuants. If there's no friction and no voicing, there's nothing to hear. Anything you can hear during a voiceless glottal must be some sort of weak friction, resulting from some sort of weak turbulence, which means that the glottal is some sort of weak fricative, but still a fricative. For practical reasons, we can teach to call the glottal as fricative. But you do have to emphasize that there is no friction at the uvular or velar place, of the sort you get in the velar fricative. Many English as a foreign language learners can be helped by thinking of the glottal as just a voiceless onset of the following vowel. Well, thanks for sharing. I hope the explanations are useful to you, and I'll go on preparing new videos for the following week. Here I share the bibliography used. Thank you.